Hey. I I was planning to just make making a short again, just extremely short little bit. Um, wishing to the nothingness, to the void, Merry Yule. Because that was, what I was, what is going to be my very short rant to begin with, is that Christmas is joulu in Finnish, and I like it very much. I have absolutely no idea what this joulu means in Finnish. It isn't a special. I can't find any connection to Christ, unlike Christmas. I know that the word is jul, of course I know, in Swedish, and I'm pretty sure that it has to, be a derivative of that, the Finnish word, joulu. But also, one can gather that the Swedes don't have the problem of Christmas either. Meaning that, I, a lifelong atheist, I can say hyvää joulua, which is Merry Christmas in Finnish. And there's nothing religious in it for me. And of course, you cannot have crazy right-wingers jumping to the walls when somebody says happy holidays, because I don't have to say happy holidays. I can, in Finnish, say Merry Christmas, even though, I'm not thinking of religion at all, and not get into trouble with, useless trouble with insane right-wingers. So very nice. It's nice not have to call Christmas Christmas. But anyway, truly, happy holidays to all the people in the world, and possibly in other worlds as well, who are never going to see this. No one. But then again, to my own little universe, where I'm pondering things that, just as Democrats dropped a bomb of a really bad Christmas surprise or holiday surprise. And again, from my point of view, very, very, very depressing. Because again, it's easy for left-wing activists to say that in countries like the United States, to say that you have the Nordic model and everything is everything is fine, healthcare, so and that's what countries with no healthcare like the United States should strive for. It's easy to say, but what is absolutely necessary to understand is that, for example, in Finland, the neoliberals took over in the 1990s, so about 10 years after they did in the United States and Great Britain, and they've been destroying the Nordic model ever since. And just this year, they hit the nail on the coffin of proper Finnish healthcare. It's been, after this, it's been totally privatized, and at the same time as somebody's in the United States is saying that let's have healthcare like Sweden and Norway and Finland. Finnish corrupt oligarchic politicians are turning the Finnish healthcare system into the United States healthcare system. Slowly, because it was a good system, and it really was cost effective. There was absolutely no need to touch the Finnish healthcare system. It was perfect, or good enough in the 1980s. You should not have touched it. But again, people who work for millionaires and who want to be millionaires themselves, greedy people, they just started and nobody stopped them, because that's the problem. That's the biggest problem. That is the biggest problem about countries and our system, our society, our way of being at the moment, is that democracy dies in a generation if people become complacent. And they become totally complacent in Finland. Again, Finnish people are going totally on trust. They don't follow anything. They could get information, but they don't. They are, again, they're very much like United Statians in a way that they are totally concentrated on themselves and their own lives. And they've forgotten that democracy needs them. They have to hold every politician responsible. They have to follow what the people are doing, and they have to vote with their, with their ballots and with their wallets if something goes, in smaller matters. So actually the situation in Finland is absolutely disastrous. Everything is pretty much well here because it was so well in the 1980s before neoliberals came to power. It has taken them decades to crack Finland, to destroy the bloody country. And they still have some way to go because the starting position was so strong. A Nordic welfare country. Starting position was very strong fortress of socialism that they have to take ice picks on, to and hack away. And it takes time. But they've come pretty far. And I'm pretty sure that it's like that everywhere, in a way. Every now and then it would seem that, that, as I've said before, that things are more reasonable in, for example, Iceland or Switzerland. But every now and then you get some news that makes you think, they do have issues. And again, since I've said before, you do not have quality programs coming, internet, free media coming from Australia or Japan or I don't know, South Korea. So you don't get all the ins and outs. You cannot get a detailed picture of what is going on. But as far as occasional news and talks with local activists, it's exactly the same crap all over the world at the moment. So since crony capitalism, international oligarchy, neoliberalism has such an incredible strong hold on absolutely everything, every country, every institution, every every organization. It really takes a lot to break it, and by some miracle save Earth, which I don't think is gonna be done. Again, our oceans are pretty much plastic. Well, let's see, but I'm not hopeful. But that is why you concentrate on people who've really achieved something and really have made waves. So there's of course Bernie Sanders, who started it, and as I've said so many times, he is the greatest man of my time, and it was very well continued by Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party in Great Britain, and they are of course rather the hope of the world at the moment, meaning in the meaning of changing the system, getting some sense, stop polluting and consuming, and by some miracle saving us all. Again, because the Labour, again, it is much stronger than any political party in the United States. Labour exists all the time, and not just during elections, and it has roots, and it has local activists. So and again, Jeremy Corbyn, he'll probably be the next prime minister. That's outstanding. So and Corbynites are actually, they control the Labour Party. Bernie-crats, I mean, nowhere near controlling the Democratic Party or any other party. Which again, I personally, I do think that Bernie's idea, of staying close to the Democratic Party and not associating with a third party is I feel is the right solution for him. So the Labour is stronger, and I am still making the bet that if nothing really tragic happens, Sanders is going to be the next president of the United States, which of course is gonna, again, if mankind survives to that date, to the next US presidential election, and of course that is going to do a lot of good. And I can't remember if I've said it before, because no one's perfect, and there are problems. There are things where Bernie Sanders is behind his time, and where he, where he isn't left enough and doesn't know enough. And it's very strange that people don't understand that no one's perfect, and you cannot expect somebody. What is important is that Sanders is an honest man, and he doesn't have to know about something. You can trust that if a situation arises where he doesn't know enough, he's going to ask people, and he's going to listen to people, and he's going to reach the right conclusion with unforeseen problem that arises in the middle of his tenure, and so on. And even more importantly, the people that Sanders and his people would elect to the government would be actual experts in their fields. You know, the exact opposite of what Donny Luferface has done, but also completely differently from what anyone else has done for as long as I know. Again, Obama or the Bushes or Reagan, at least these people, they from my time, they didn't have the right people in government. You know, they're secretaries of whatever, of state or defense and so on. They were bad people. They were the wrong people for the job. Most of them, outside, usually secretaries of defense are soldiers, so you might say they are experts in their field. But the rest of them, most of the time, they're not qualified. So again, there's no question that Sanders brings with him, as a president, he brings with him actual experts to all the branches of government, to all the positions, which is going to transform the United States very quickly to something like a civilized country. And of course, that's going to reverberate all over the world. So it is very important. But still, as far as actual, party change and, traditional structuring of a country, one bets a lot on Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party in Great Britain. So that's two countries. That isn't a lot. So one hopes that absolutely nothing goes wrong, because the world has no time any left. The left. The left, it has to pep up now, or it's gonna be never. And besides Bernie and then the Labour the Labour Party that they're thinking of starting in, or trying to start in the United States. Any possible third parties, Green Party. Besides that, Justice Democrats is a good idea. Probably the best, the best bet after Sanders and of course our revolution movement. Justice Democrats has been, and again, since I'm hoping change the world, and yet the only countries that seem to be, where there seem to be any people who are on the ball, what the heck is going on, are the United States and Great Britain. Again, Finnish people, they're out in the field. They have absolutely no clue what is going on. And what it seems, it's the same with everyone else. They may be unhappy. Again, Finnish, Swedish, French, Italian, you name it. They may be unhappy, but they don't have a clue what's going on, and most of them vote totally against their own interest. And most of them have been brainwashed to the idea that that work is everything, and that's your worth. Life is about work. That money is real, and so on. So one would hope that nothing would go wrong with the left in the United States or in Great Britain, and that you would not see any signs of insanity. The system we have at the moment is totally insane, and it's not just suicidal, it is also insane, illogical, incredible that it exists, and many of the people in power, in politics and in business and so on, they're just lunatics. So it's insanity, and you wouldn't like to see insanity, any mental instability in let's say the leftist movement in the Western world. And again, one has to point out that there are individual lefties, really good lefties, it would seem, because they are, one sees their interviews mostly in the Real News, which I hope Real News is gonna meet their any monetary demands that they have, and that they can continue ahead full force. There's no question. Real News Network is the best news outlet in the world at the moment. It's outstanding. But anyway, like the Real News, interviews, you can see that there are really intelligent, progressive people almost in everywhere and in every country. But they're just, they're not making enough waves, unlike the left in the United States, or especially now Labour in the United Kingdom. So one has to say that this latest episode with old blog posts by Cenk and the reaction of just the Justice Democrats staff and what happened, it couldn't really spoil my Christmas spirit, because in my excellent existence, loads of good things have happened, in my immediate vicinity. So I really can't get depressed, but as worried and semi-depressed as I can. I cannot say how incredibly insane the whole situation was. Firstly, I guess one has to say that Cenk pretty much, confirms what I've been saying, which is that it's so easy to be older and wiser and comment on much younger or young men. Now, I've always said that males, they grow up around 30. So what Hugo had written was pretty much written where the time that he was just coming of age. And again, since he was a rather good-looking guy as a younger man, usually they get more sex and they get more out of life, so they mature even a bit later than somebody who is short or ugly or or some or deviant in some other way to the ideals of to whatever appearance ideals mankind has at the time. So I mean, Yuga's posts were uncivilized and stupid. But that's it. Now he himself, he wanted to talk about, and he talks about evolving, and that his ideas and his that he's evolved. I personally would like to call that growing up, which is what I've been saying all the time. It would be nice if we all were born all grown up and wise, and that we would have the wisdom as males to control our hormones when teenage and puberty hits. And I've been talking about needing a real safety net for males, so that they come to terms with their sexuality immediately when it hits them. Again, sexual education, support personnel, parents, everything. Safety net, social safety net for young male sexuality. And that I've been saying that it is incredibly unfair. You have young women, most of them over 25, which means that they have all the mental skills of a supreme debater. Again, women are much more, mentally much, more advanced than males. And you have young women, most of them over 25, which means they're total adults, and much older men over 40, bashing young men who do say stupid things because no one has helped them with their sexuality when it has hit them in their teens. And I've been saying all the time that again, and it has nothing to do with sexual criminality. No one is trying to suggest, including me, is trying to suggest that people like Harvey Weinstein shouldn't go to jail for a very long time. Or again, I personally, I'm not actually for incarceration or death penalties or anything. I'm actually for, something more sane. Punishments should be something where people end up helping the society in some way, not just, sitting somewhere and costing money, if you wanted to talk in money, but costing resources. Anyway. But in present terms, go to jail for a very long time. All criminality is a different thing. But again, everything else, or everything that isn't an obvious crime, and something that is just a semi-crime, something that is almost a crime but committed by a young man, clearly out of stupidity. It is incredibly unfair to have young women who in no way can ever understand a young male. No way. Absolutely. They're not experts there. They cannot understand. And much older men who really, really, really seem to have forgotten. Perhaps they want to forget. They were weak. They were stupid. Anyway, whatever. who really have totally forgotten what it was like to be, let's say, bloody 17 or 16, somewhere, to actually cry because you needed sex so much. And it would seem that Hugo has just fallen a bit a victim to that, and since he and so many others, they have made no attempt at remembering what it was like, or sympathizing with young men and understanding that young man is not the same as an older man. It rather has caught up with him. And his reaction in that sense, in every other way, of course, his reaction has been sublime. He is a great guy by now. But again, he pretty much bashed his younger self the same way as they have been bashing other younger men. And I'm not quite certain what that is all about. It's not going to solve the problem. You can bash the young men who do something wrong or say something wrong or do something stupid all you like, unless you educate them in their childhood, in their in their puberty and so on. They're never going to get any better. And of course, again, it's going to lead one day, this total female chauvinism, so to speak. It's going to lead to a backlash one day. If mankind were to survive, which I severely doubt. So again, all this is academic. But one would say that Hugo himself, he would be in a much better position if he would have so far been more understanding of young men and young male sexuality. That it's stupid, it's wrong, whatever, but it's not all their fault, and something should be done about it. They should be helped in their puberty so that they never would become so stupid and uncontrollable, and in a way perverted. And then when it turns out that he has been young and stupid and a bit perverted, he could pretty much point to what he's been saying all along, that it's unfortunate and it's stupid, but it happens because nothing has been done about it. And again, it's just going to be more secure, so to speak. But somebody like Harvey Weinstein is going to happen again, because nothing has been done about male sexuality. Nobody has been treated in their puberty, so that when they become really famous and really rich and so on, and really powerful, that they're not going to use their power sexually. They are, because they are perverted, and nothing has been done. Nothing is being done. Nothing has even been discussed about. All that has been discussed is justice for women, not what is going to be done about the sickness in men. Again, punishment only works to a certain degree. It may deter some people. Most criminals are just going to become a bit more cleverer with their crimes, unless you do something about the disease itself. So one might say that that his own blindness, just one little blind spot, otherwise in most other cases he's brilliant, but his own blind spot, and very United Stasian blind spot, has come to haunt Cenk Uygur. That was the first thing that had to be said. But of course the much bigger point, and a much bigger thing, was the reaction, at least according to Kyle Kulinski, the reaction of the Justice Democrats staff to this article. Now I can't remember what was it? It's ridiculous, I can't remember. Was it HuffPost who? I can't remember where these old Cenk Yoga blogs were published, or the story was published. But anyway, the reaction of the Justice Democrat staff, which according to Kyle Kulinski was that either Cenk goes or we go. I have never heard anything so insane from anyone on, or on the real left, not, Stalinist left or something, something that isn't really left, that is actually right, but, for PR reasons is called the left. Again, one would like to say that what we can only hope that only in America, that again, the United States are, most of them, they're descendants of Puritans. They have a big problem with sex and sexuality. And one can only hope that this insanity, is pretty much that. But even if it's that, it really isn't going away. And well, I probably should say this much later, but since it came along now, I have to say again, if they can be insane with something like this, related to sexuality and sex, what else can they be insane about when is connected in any way to sex? Again, it is truly frightening. One hardly needs to say that there's no question that any reasonable person should have just said, okay, Cenk Yoga, well, you were young as well. And stupid young male. And you've grown up, as everyone does. Let's get on with the work. The fact that Yoga has had to, in a way had to resign over this, and then Kulinski had to battle with his conscience, and he resigned as well from the Justice Democrats, and so to speak, the media wing of the Justice Democrats is now more separated from the Justice Democrats, who are desperately needed, as strong as they can be by, the world left. It is absolutely disastrous. Firstly, Justice Democrats is not going to be as strong as it was before this, which is highly unfortunate. But again, we are so rooting for them. Hopefully this doesn't change much, because otherwise we're effed. But the worry is going to be there. How can they be this insane? And again, it's just impossible. It's like in any relationship with not just a romantic relationship, but I mean friendship or romantic relationship. If someone has once done something totally insane, you're never gonna look them exactly the same way again. And as far as I'm concerned, it is now the case with Justice Democrats. So truly, I mean, I was going to talk for a few minutes to wish happy holidays to the entire existence in the universe, which is never going to see this. But 40 minutes because of this very unfortunate incident, which again, it just, let's hope it's just a tiny ripple, but it is a ripple in the in the international left, and possibly the future of our world. You know, highly unfortunate seems like an understatement, but that's the way it goes. And again, so to speak, nothing to do with me. I just philosophically hope stuff. All the best to everyone. Happy holidays. Take care. See ya.